Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We'll just wait for everyone to join the room. Make yourself comfortable. This is the last session. So, welcome to the Learning and Next Steps session. Welcome, Jacqueline. We're just waiting for everyone to join. Make yourself comfortable. This is the last session. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Amabel. We've made it to the last session. Please, as we do, post your energy levels in the chat. Welcome, good afternoon. We're at the last session. You've made it. Welcome, everyone. Make yourself comfortable. This is going to be a relaxing session of reflection. Please post your energy levels in the chat so that we know where you're at. But we're here to relax, reflect, and share. We won't rush through anything, so make yourself comfortable. And everyone on the call should actually be listed as a speaker on the agenda. We're here to have a relaxed conversation for you to share, for you to take time to connect with your peers and also unmute and share your voice if you haven't done so in the forum yet. Yeah, counting down to graduation. This is a big milestone. We're at the end of Leadership Forum 2. Well done for making it this far. And thank you everyone for being so focused and engaged throughout all the sessions. We're just waiting for everyone to join and then we'll get started. Make yourself comfortable. Energy levels 1000%. Thank you, Demeji. Congratulations for being at that level after these all these sessions. But I can agree, it's been so inspiring listening to everyone. So my levels are also up and up. But good afternoon, welcome everyone. It seems we have a nice group now, so I'll get the session started. The forum has been filled with amazing back-to-back sessions, all adding to the theme of harnessing digital innovations for scaling youth employment opportunities in agriculture. What an inspiring conversation to be a part of. So this session, our final session, is all about distilling the information that we've taken in and reflecting on our learning. So it's time to share key takeaways and also identify your own personal next steps, your next steps as an ALP team, and your next steps within your organization. So it's all about reflection and learning. We're going to look back to inform our future action. But first, I just invite you to take a deep breath. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and release everything that you've held in for the last 2 days. We're here to relax and share. So once you've taken a deep breath, I think we can get into it. Make sure that your fingers are on your keyboard. We'll use the chat quite a lot in this session, but also I'm going to call upon a few of you to also unmute yourselves. So let's start it. Keep it simple. One word. How are you feeling right now? What is the first word that just popped into your head? Ask yourself, what am I feeling? It doesn't have to be 100% related to the topic of the forum. We just want to check in with you as people. We've been speaking about human-centered design. So as humans, how are you feeling? Good. Good is a good word. Inspired, full. That's great. I think full of knowledge, full of energy, full of coffee. I'm seeing comments come about feeling of growth, involved, yeah, intensive, yet highly educational, energized. I love the word inspired coming up again. It's always a good practice to try and distill into one word, like what are you really feeling? It's quite reflective. And think back to what your expectations were at the start of the forum. Have those been met? How How are you feeling about like where were you at the start of these 2 days and where are you now? Yeah, I think everyone is now agricultural digital champions after all the amazing input we had from all this experts and practitioners. So to help us reflect and see what we've done through the last 2 days, I would like to share a visual facilitation graphic that I put together. And this is really just trying to capture what happened in visual terms. It's not getting into the nitty-gritty. It's like, what are those visuals that people kept coming back to? And let's walk through this. Please also share in the chat which visuals are standing out for you. Are there any visuals that's missing that you've seen repeated in the conversations in the panels? Yes, Amabel, the change is you. And we can't make any changes without the people at the center of it all. So, and that brings me to like one of the first visuals that came up so much is partnerships. It's about public, private, civil society coming together, but also like all the speakers spoke about strong partnerships and collaborative partnerships and thinking beyond your own bubble or your silos, but going out of your comfort zone and finding partners that is not so obvious to ensure the reach, ensure the access, especially with digital tools. You need to really think outside of the box or outside of your own lens to be able to develop things that are relevant for a large group of people. The idea of agriculture should not be seen as a punishment, but as a possibility came up a few times. Agriculture has that essence of family legacy. There's a dynamic memory in the soil. We can think of land as a data source. It doesn't forget. Data doesn't forget, water doesn't forget. And I think that also brings us to the idea that the digital world and the physical world are not that far apart, and bringing them closer together enables us to make impact on the ground. Human-centered design, it's all about inclusivity, knowing your audience. So many of you spoke about how you've put your boots on the ground, gotten to know your stakeholders, really identified the issue, behind the core of the root cause, and how that has resulted in you having success in your projects and the programs that you implement. And all of this towards the goal of feeding the continent. So that came up as this sort of central force that's behind all of the innovation. It's to improve the food system, transform the food system, and have an impact on the ground, not for today, but for the future generations. I love the idea of reminding ourselves that the kids are smart. The youth is not there only to be taught, but we can learn from them. And I still have 1 year of being a youth, so I love that point of view. And drawing on that, we should listen to the kids. The visual of making mushrooms cool and putting the fun in fungi, harnessing digital technologies like social media to bring about a shift in how we even eat differently and think about agriculture is so exciting. And then from social media, thinking about, but how can we actually also go audio first? Really think of places where we don't have 5G Wi-Fi. Electricity is not seamless throughout areas. So offline access is crucial to make that a reality. And it was also said that the cake is big. So there's lots of social media, entertainment, digital media opportunities. So think about how you would like to take that forward, and personally in your ALP and in your organization. And I love that idea of like we are building the table, the youth, together with everyone in the sector, they're building the table together. We don't always just need to make a seat at the table for the youth. They are now building it. They're building the platforms. They're building the stepping stones. So let's build together and build something that's relevant for generations to come. And at the bottom, the bridge was connecting it all. So thinking of like digital innovation as the bridge that is connecting the challenge to the solution. Um, and in that, we need to also understand data trails, where it's going, where it's coming from, bring people in from the start so that the data is applied in a coherent manner. And do all of these things with the youth, with partners, not just for. Um, and today, the idea of the 4 pillars came up, of access, how it's so important to have access to information, access to mentorship, access to markets, and access to sustainable finance to keep it all going. So please share any visuals that came to mind that's not covered here. But this was just a way to remind us like what has been covered, just a snapshot, and that will help us in the next session where I'll be asking you to post in the chat and reflect on some of the questions that I'll show on screen. So here is our first longer question, not just one word. So please take some time to think and reflect. So what are your most valuable personal learning and takeaway from the forum? And how has that shifted your thinking on leadership in digital agriculture? Where you're all part of a leadership program, there's a lot of content that's being put to you. But how are you feeling as a leader? Has anything shifted based on the last 2 days? And what is that shift? Sharing it here will concretize it. It will make it real. So please share your thoughts. I know I think it's a roller coaster of emotions and ideas that come with this large amount of knowledge exchange. We've heard innovation and adoption happens locally first. So you have the best understanding of your unique context. So share what key insights or learning that you got from the last 2 days and how is it affecting your leadership journey. Thanks, Faustina. It's so important. Yes. We can all start some things in your own small way, promoting digital agriculture. I love the proverb someone shared recently about if you think you're too small to make a change, spend the night with a mosquito. So no one is too small to make a change. It begins with a step, and bringing in partners makes it scale. So please share any other ideas. I can see some more coming through on the chat. Consistency in work. Yeah, it shouldn't be convenient. I love that from the opening keynotes. You are all the change you want to make, small steps, big impact. I think that feels like that's some Gandhi, some Mandela in there. I love all the very insightful quotes coming through. Janet is saying she's come to appreciate how digital learning isn't just about access to information, it's also about unlocking new ways of thinking, collaborating, and leading. That's so true. It's a whole sort of mindset shift. Yeah, Claudine saying teamwork, consistency. And I think that's true, especially if you're trying to teach someone a new skill or applying a system. It's to remain consistent and stay connected. Masiti is saying it's our responsibility to bridge the digital divide, not by waiting for perfect conditions, but by starting where we are with what we have. Yes, using what is locally available and addressing local needs, using local power is always the most sustainable. Margaret, do you want to unmute and say something? I'm just seeing a hand from Margaret. Is that an intentional hand? But I see, Margaret, your quote here, digital transformation is not just about implementing new technologies. As a leader, it's about driving a strategic, cultural, and organizational shift in the application of digital technologies. That's so true. Thank you for sharing that. Amari says a simple agri-tech-based solution is needed for our smallholder farmers as they are not digitally savvy. And I think that came up a lot, that keeping it simple, making it as applicable as possible is key. You have to meet your audience where they're at and address their needs and have something that's actually usable. Amabel saying digital agriculture revolves around youth. It's time to close the age gap in Africa's agriculture. Thanks, Amabel. So important. Yes, simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. Chikoni saying co-creation and leverage on existing initiatives to scale digital initiatives. Co-creation all the way. Collaboration, yes, Dr. Lulu. We can't walk alone. Thank you so much for that. Let's move on to the next question. So we've heard from alumni, we've heard from fellow delegates. Give it up for Team Aggrivate and Team Honeybees. Your presentations were amazing and so great to combine these forums with the delegates and the alumni to show we're all in this together and the road doesn't stop at the end of the 16 months. It's ongoing. So please share your personal reflections on the peer relationships, connections, and accountability that comes with Kala, and that was highlighted in this forum. What did you enjoy about hearing from Kala alumni? What did you feel from it? Did it inspire you? Would you like to, should we sign you up for Cohort 5's Leadership Forum? Tell us, how are you feeling about the inclusion of peers and alumni in these sessions, and how would you like to take that forward? I'll just read some more comments from the previous question. Frank was saying, if we are to have a bumper digital harvest, we need to invest. Yes, investment is key, and today's focus on finances was so important. We can have all these magical ideas, but to implement it on the ground, we need that support. And I think it also brings back to the idea that making agriculture commercial and productive, that also brings in the youth. We all need money to feed ourselves and our families, so making it productive is key. So please tell me, how are you feeling? How are you feeling connected to your cohort, to previous cohorts, and how would you like to continue that peer accountability going forward? I think I'm going to use this opportunity to ask Amabel, how did you feel being a speaker during this leadership forum? You gave such a great presentation. What is your main takeaway from this forum and being a speaker on it? Over to you, Amabel.
Hi, Lizzo. Thank you. It was quite exciting to do that presentation, and I might say it wasn't just about presenting our ALP work, but a moment of learning for us, redefining what we had already done, And yeah, we thank the Color team for mentoring and then shaping our thinking beyond what we had initially thought. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Amabel. Do you want to call on any of your team members or other team members to share their insights? We can do a popcorn.
Oh, I think Faustina would like to say something.
Great, over to you, Faustina.
Okay, so thank you very much. It was, I would say I was quite nervous, but also I saw it as an opportunity to share and to also learn from our colleagues. And so it was a great opportunity that we were offered. And this forum has been so inspiring, learning from what our predecessors are doing. We are more inspired and more challenged to do more after we move from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Faustina. And thank you, Margaret, Frank, and Selena for posting in the chat. And it's so important. Individuals hold on to each other and keep responsible for each other's commitments and performance. I think that's that accountability aspect that's so important, and that's what we also try to instill in this program. Frank saying that from the fellow delegates, the lessons learned is that this is only the beginning. We need to stand up and be counted 2 to 3 years after graduation. That's so true. This is a stepping stone. This is a launch pad. We're all here to start a journey together and continue into the sector to make impact. Selena saying digital development needs investment and deployment in rural areas. I think that's still on the previous question, but that's, I think, such a key area of discussion. And I really enjoyed the speakers from the banks talking about their strategies in reaching out to those areas. But I think it really comes also down to the people like color delegates who have a real sense of what's going on the ground to partner or even just raise our voices to these larger companies and banks to say, actually, we know what's going on, and here are our recommendations. So I think I've seen that in all color delegates, their commitment and their confidence just grows, and it has such amazing impacts on the sector as a whole. Great. So now let's move on to next steps. So sort of future visioning and commitment from what we've experienced now. What is the next tangible action that you will take within your role and institution to apply what you have learned from this forum? Please just share one action that you're taking, even if it's uploading an app to your phone to test it out, or picking up the phone to call one of the speakers. If you have if you would like to connect with anyone, but you didn't get their contact details, let us know. We can facilitate that. This forum was all about networking, so we really want to support you if you have more questions for some of the speakers. Yeah, so let me know, what is that one action that you're taking forward after this forum? What aha moment did you have that sparked that idea that's making you change something or take that step? And we're all talking about it just takes one step. We have to do it together. And what is that one step that you're committing to take? We've heard about commitments from the previous leaders in the call to action. So what is your commitment? What will you be doing after this forum? So let's see, Selena saying to be intentional about youth participation. Yes, to not see it as a tick box, but to really be intentional about what that means and what the long-term impact of that is, how to make it sustainable. Faustina saying to motivate AEAs to build on their digital skills to make them stay more relevant. That's so true. Everything's changing so fast, so remaining relevant is key. And Emily saying youth engagement is now very clear in their ALPs. So I'm so happy to hear that. It's such an important part of the focus that we're trying to build. So it's great that it's coming to the fore. And really think about like how, is there anything that you're changing about your ALP? The mentor presentations is coming up next week. Think about questions you might have for your mentor based on what you've learned in these last 2 days. Think about questions you might have for your beneficiaries and other stakeholders that you're working with. And I think the youth that you're reaching out to and working with in your LPs, I think now we've heard so much, like they have a voice and they have ideas and they have skills. So opening that two-way communication, I think, is so important. And like Margaret saying, foster youth digital entrepreneurship. That's great. That's a great step to take and to build that going forward. Marciti is saying integrating digital skills modules into the agripreneurship training. That's amazing at Chamberbox. We would love to know more when you get that integrated to share your story. Frank is saying, as honeybees, we need to follow up with Shamba Pro on issues of digitalization, also with Kavi on involving youth in seedling production. I'm so glad to see there's concrete actions and networks that you're tapping into. And it's all about, like, we can talk and talk and talk and share information, but we need to take those next steps to apply the knowledge that we've gathered. So thank you everyone for sharing your next steps. I'm also going to encourage you before I end, yes, I will share the image with you. It'll also be in our forum report. I did this type of facilitation for graduation for cohort 3. So you'll see more of this in your journey coming forward. So imagine your whole color journey in images like this once you get to graduation and you share your all your stories. But that's for in a few months. There's still lots to do before then. Like I said, the mentor presentations and continue to work on your LP and make sure that the funding comes through to address all the comments. Yes, just one more thing. So I'm so glad you were all here for the whole forum, and the last step to ensure that you complete your forum and you get the tick for all participation. We also would love to hear your feedback on the forum itself. So we will share a feedback link. Amanda will share it in the chat now, and it's also on the platform on the home screen if you scroll all the way down to feedback. Take time to do that today before you log off and you forget. But I'm sure you won't, because I think a lot of this knowledge is now embedded and it's become part of you. So from my side, I want to thank you for being so engaged and for making the time during this forum. And then I'm going to give over to the wonderful Lillian for closing remarks. Over to you, Lillian.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Don't you just love Lizzo and how she presents and makes it so easy for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, just in case you did not participate in the session where I was, introduced myself, but you also know me. My name is Lillian Githinji, and I have the privilege of leading. Sorry? Okay. Of leading this great program called CALA. And I just can't believe that we've come to the end of it all. It's been an amazing 2 days, which have been nothing but really extraordinary, if you ask me. So first and foremost, I'd like to really laud our speakers. I'm sure you can all agree with me. We had amazing subject matter specialists who really delved deep and allowed us to really understand what digital agriculture is all about. They came with their generosity, with their stories, really outpoured themselves with their honesty about what they were doing, and really grounded us in not just practice, not theory, but really what they are experiencing out there in the spaces where they were. Also, really, I cannot overthank our distinguished delegates. You've invested your entire 2 days here. I'm sure there's so many other things you could have been invested in. And this is not just about the obligation you have with CALA, but the fact that you are very engaged even in the platform, in asking questions to our speakers, really shows your commitment to this program and that you are very invested in the topic of the day. And so I thank you for showing up with openness, with insight, with the kind of curiosity that the great leaders you truly are is all about. I want to also thank the African Management Institute, who are our very able implementing partner and who are delegate facing for their commitment. You really remain an anchor in the leadership journeys of these delegates, and I'm sure they can attest to that. I value your consistency and your creativity. And so as we close, allow me to reflect on the deliberations of the last 2 days. But before we even do so, I don't know about you, but I feel like digital agriculture and digital innovations in the agricultural space has really become like the new buzzword, the kind that was a couple of years back that was gender mainstreaming. Everybody threw around the phrase gender mainstreaming carelessly in development programs, And so I am happy to know that this was not just another attempt to digital wash the stories we had and what we have seen the last 2 days really have been absolutely inspiring. I don't know about me, but from where I sit, I've been absolutely breaking down what digital innovations is all about and how that can really transform the food system space to resort to the jobs that we all aim to create for the burgeoning youth divide is all about. We heard from the food soldiers, really people offering these digital solutions such as Kevin. And we also had urgency. From the keynote speaker, you remember, he reminded us that agriculture is not just something to be fixed. It is an engine for wealth creation. And this particular phrase, if you remember, really reverberated across the 2-day forum. And that what needs to happen is really unleashing our creativity to transform this sector and not to treat it as an accident. We also had reframing that digital agriculture and physical agriculture are not separate tracks. They must be treated as the same ecosystem and intelligently designed to deliver on the job that we all hope will be created. Our speakers also led us to clarity that if we want digital agriculture to scale, then we must also be willing to build interoperable systems, platforms that don't just duplicate efforts, but also amplify the value of the same to farmers and to communities. We also really had hope, inspiring hope, not just in words, but in the visibility of the CALA alumni in, for example, the session that we've just moderated, who are ones seated where you are. There were delegates and now they've crossed over to being alumni, and they're already doing quite some transformative things that they shared with us as founders, as leaders of the community of practice for digital agriculture. And this, I hope, has been inspiring to you. We also had truth that the youth are not a demographic program. They are an economic opportunity and they should be treated as such. That agriculture should not just be thrown around as a sector that needs to be sexy, but it needs to really translate into viable economic opportunities for the youth. And I was happy to actually hear that, because I wonder, the job I come to doesn't have to be sexy. You just have to translate into a bottom line for me, right? That's how youth are going to be invested. And so we also heard about solutions from our speakers who are creating user-friendly and locally grounded solutions for women, and that we need to create solutions that are created for the user in mind, context grounded. And this should not be an afterthought. For example, if you're creating a solution for women, it should not be an afterthought. You should not first create and think about women, how they can use it. You should include women in the creation process, and so that it can be user-friendly for them. Of course, our Vice President, our able Vice President, Jonathan, reminded us that you are leaders in your own space. It doesn't matter who you are. And I remember Olivia, of course, urging us to create a future where agriculture sector is a center of choice. And that is exactly what CALA is doing. It's not just about learning, it's also about leading. And so you are now a part of a continental ecosystem of thinkers. I hope this forum has inspired you to be the doers that will go out there to continue truly shaping the future of food systems that we all desire to have. Digital agriculture is one of those powerful levers, among others, that we can harness well to see that transformation that we all want to see. And so I urge you to reflect and ask yourself, what do we take forward? What happens after this? And so I am hoping that you will build inclusive systems. I am hoping that you will push your institutions to treat digital and physical agriculture as one. I am truly hoping that you will shift the narrative from aid to enterprise, from projects to platforms. And that is exactly the kind of leadership that Africa deserves and critically needs. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I truly thank you for your time, your energy, your commitment that you have shown us here. We can all relate. And I inspire you to go out there, you grow like the true systems gardeners that you truly are. Thank you, and over.
Thank you so much, Lillian. I think that brings us to the end of the forum, and we can release you into the world. Thanks again, everyone.
Bye. Go continue doing the amazing work you've been doing.
Yes, continue on your paths, and we'll see you in the next interaction. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And bye-bye, everyone.